Coming up on Look Today, well, another protest took place outside Congresswoman Elise Stefanik's office in Glens Falls. We were there. And the Saratoga Performing Arts Center will open its box office starting tomorrow. More on that coming up. Plus, flyers containing white supremacy literature were found on parked cars in Saratoga. I've got details. It's all ahead on Look Today. Welcome everyone. Happy Friday. I'm J. Hood Jackson. This is Look Today. Well, in tonight's program, I sit down with Cindy Campopiano. She's Chief Operating Officer for Parks Heritage Federal Credit Union. And we're joined by Anthony LaPointe. He's a Chief Executive Officer. We're also joined by Doug Wildermuth. Now, he's the owner of E5 Support Services. They're all here to talk about the credit union's devotion to their membership and an upcoming event. I also sit down with Sergeant Eddie Ryan. He's a wounded veteran. We're joined by his parents, Chris and Angie Ryan, and they're here to talk about Eddie's inspiring story and an event to help raise awareness for all military veterans. Plus, we've got your weekend weather for the Tri-North counties, but first, these headline stories. Well, in our lead story, another protest took place outside Congresswoman Elise Stefanik's office in Glens Falls. Dozens of protesters rallied outside her office in effort to get her to change her mind on the health care repeal vote. Now, Stefanik was one of 216 of her GOP colleagues in repealing the Affordable Care Act in favor of the American Health Care Act. Well, 21st District constituents took to the streets just before Mother's Day to protest the cuts this repeal would have on health care options for women. Now, we were at the demonstration where we spoke to Tara Palmer. She's an organizer for the event.
She did not vote in the best interest of her constituents, and I think that we need to make sure that the North Country residents know that, and I think that that's becoming more and more apparent, and that's why we need to organize and resist.
A contentious issue for sure, with opinions on both sides. In other news, well, spring has arrived. The Saratoga Performing Arts Center box office opens tomorrow. Now, in addition, Live Nation will have a one-day special with no service fees on single tickets. Well, the box office will be open 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. for all 2017 performances. Now, that includes Live Nation concerts. Alongside some of the classical programming coming to SPAC this summer, Live Nation concerts feature acts such as Dave Matthews, Tim Reynolds, Sting, Kings of Leon, and the Moody Blues. Well, a new concert experience called SPAC on Stage will take place every Monday in August. Now, this gives audience members a whole new perspective by actually putting seating on the stage with the artist. Switching from news to weather. Well, today saw a beautiful day, temperatures in the high 60s. However, expect nasty weather in the coming days. Let's see how the weekend is shaping up. For a more detailed look at our weather, let's head to the Glens Falls Weather Center for a look at your first forecast.
Thank you, Jesse. Hope you're all having a wonderful day so far as we continue to look ahead into the weekend. Some more wet weather is trying its best to move up from the south. High pressure will continue to erode out of the region. We're watching this next system lifting up the eastern seaboard with a warm front pushing through the cold frontal boundary. Not as much of a factor, but we will be watching this low continue to track northward over the coming days. So right now, high pressure still waiting in the wings out to the west. Behind that, another couple stalled out fronts that will take their time trying to cross the United States. For now, a non-factor for our forecast. We can still see that shower activity down to our south. We're going to push in across portions of D.C., Maryland, and southern portions of Pennsylvania as we go through tonight. Some cooler temperatures at times as well, but we'll still see a nice night with those mostly cloudy skies and a low of 48 degrees across much of the Glens Falls area. Now tomorrow, we'll begin to see those showers move back in, especially through the mid-afternoon. Could see up to a half inch of rainfall, high reaching 60 degrees, while out the door we'll see those those mostly cloudy skies continue to fill back in. Maybe a few peaks of sunshine. Showers also looking to arrive, and temperatures in the 40s and 50s. Now, as we continue to take a look at the extended forecast, could still see some shower chances with us into our Sunday, and they'll fade away into Monday, then back to full sunshine finally after a bit of a cooler weekend. We'll see a nice warm up heading into next week with highs in the 70s by Tuesday and Wednesday. Well, that's it from the First Look Weather Center. Now let's send it back to you, Jesse.
Hey, Brent. All right, back to the news. Flyers promoting a white supremacist group were found this week on parked cars in Saratoga. Now, there are currently no leads as to who distributed these pamphlets. However, the pamphlet was signed by the Cool Kids Club with K's. We spoke to Gregory Veach. He's the chief of police for Saratoga about the importance of counteracting this kind of message.
Well, I think it's important that any community make sure that messages of hate are countered with messages of love and respect and inclusion. I don't think that's just necessarily for Saratoga Springs. I think that's for every community. And I think sometimes we forget that a lot of times this is for publicity. People are trying to get a rise out of the community and push their message out. And you know, there's a counter message to that. That's a far greater benefit to society than what these people are trying to put out.
That's really well said, Greg. And by the way, there's a public hearing on racism later this month in Saratoga, and we'll have updates for you then. Up next, I sit down with Cindy Campopiano. She's Chief Operating Officer for Parks Heritage Federal Credit Union. We're joined by Anthony LaPointe. He's the Chief Executive Officer. We're also joined by Doug Wildermuth. He's the owner of E5 Support Services, and they're all here. They're going to talk about the credit union's devotion to their membership and a very exciting upcoming event. I also sit down with Sergeant Eddie Ryan. Now, he's a wounded veteran. We're joined by his parents, Chris and Angie Ryan. They're here to talk about Eddie's inspiring story and an event to help raise awareness for all military veterans tomorrow, Saturday, in Lake George. But first, if you see news happening, you want to share a story idea, how about join us for an interview? Give us a call on the hotline. The number is 798-8000. Well, that's all the time we have for this edition of Look Today. It's Friday, so I want to thank the crew. Ladies first, that would be Antoinette and Dana and Bridget. Also, Andrew, Drew, Jack and Joel, and Norm for making the show possible each week. And oh, by the way, Dana, one of our very own, is graduating this weekend from Emerson College. She didn't want to tell me because she didn't want me to tell you, so there you have it, Dana. Congratulations from everyone here, only proving that if you graduate from Emerson, you're smarter than all of us put together. Hey, quick reminder, SPAC box office tomorrow opens. And also, if you're catching this broadcast, an early one, get over to the Queensbury Hotel for Baskets for Ben. That's a fundraiser for Ben Osborne, who lost his life overseas. And also tomorrow at noon, get to Lake George. Eddie Ryan, who is here today for this interview. Noah Cass, one of the people that served with him in Iraq, is running from Connecticut to raise awareness for veterans. Let's help him cross the finish line tomorrow noon. Happy Mother's Day, everybody. We'll see you next week.